are interested in staying with us as a supervisor or moving into a higher level staff position, obviously the pay increases.
Up to $40,000 a year for supervisors. For the past 30 years, the city of LA has called the Corps first to mop up major messes. Winter storm cleanup? Call the Corps. Habitat restoration? Call the Corps. Trash removal after a Lakers parade? The city knows who to call. Work is non-union, but employees have the option of leaving after the training program for higher-paying union jobs elsewhere. And yes, the Corps will hook them up with employers.
Jobs in the energy field, in construction, and manufacturing, and especially clean tech manufacturing. Lots of things that Corps members can do if they like to use their hands.
Yes, it has been worth it so far because I have learned so much.
Learning on the job and building options for the future. In Pico Union, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Young people ages 14 to 24 can apply. The Corps also offers college scholarships for those who qualify. Find out more at lacorps.org. While A Night on Broadway shines the spotlight on some historic theaters in downtown LA, enjoy some of the city's most popular museums for free, and fine art comes alive at the LA Convention Center. That's all in this week's Things to Do. Night on Broadway is back. It's the 8th anniversary of the Los Angeles City Council member Jose Huizar's Bringing Back Broadway initiative, a 10-year plan for the revitalization of the historic Broadway corridor. This free one-night extravaganza in downtown Los Angeles will feature programming on the historic stages of glorious theaters often closed to the public, as well as a large street festival with an outdoor stage of its own. Internationally renowned artists, acrobats, performers, musicians, and other acts will fill the storied Broadway corridor with art, entertainment, food, and music, with a special focus on Broadway as the heart of downtown Los Angeles. The event takes place on Saturday, January 30th from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. in downtown LA. For more, visit nightonbroadway.la. Clear your calendar for Museums Free for All Saturday on January 30th, when more than 24 museums in the LA area will offer free admission, not including specially ticketed exhibitions or parking, allowing local residents an amazing opportunity to check out the culture of their city free of charge. You can see anything from art to natural history and science. Participants for this year include many locations that are not normally free, such as the Natural History Museum, LACMA, MoCA, and the Descanso Gardens, along with museums that regularly offer free admission, such as both Getty campuses and the Broad. For more, visit SoCalMuseums.org. If you're an art enthusiast, get your fill at the Los Angeles Fine Art Show. It'll feature a rich blend of premier historic and contemporary art. Unique in the art fair world, dealers from around the globe will converge at the Los Angeles Convention Center to share their exceptional variety of fine and decorative art, spanning all styles and centuries, with serious collectors, interior designers, and museum curators. 20 years ago, the Los Angeles Fine Art Show was created as a regional show, reflecting the city's evolving nature. Today, it continues that tradition, offering an extraordinary range of genres from 18th century European paintings to contemporary realism. This year, the Los Angeles Fine Art Show is dedicated solely to historic and contemporary art. Check it out at the LA Convention Center January 27th through the 31st. For more, visit LosAngelesFineArtShow.com. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kay, and from all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Car accident deaths are a possibility, a probability. What if you don't get a chance to say goodbye? What if there are no more birthday celebrations or friendly conversations because you're just not here? Put the phone down. Practice hands-free driving and give yourself and others a chance to participate in life. Obey the rules of the road.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm an Iyengar yoga teacher here in Los Angeles, and you're watching LA City View, Channel 35, Our City, Our Channel. Namaste.
Good morning. Good morning. It is Tuesday, January 26th. I want to welcome you to the Los Angeles City Council. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. Madam Clerk, I believe we have a quorum. Could you please call the roll?
Blumenfeld, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Harris, Dawson, Weezer, Kress, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rue, Wesson, 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
O'Farrell moves. Martinez seconds. Next.
Commission resolutions for approval.
Bonin moves and Weezer seconds. That brings us where?
Mr. President, today is Tuesday, and now be the time for the flag salute.
Okay, if I could ask all members to please rise. We'll be led today by Mr. Rue in our flag salute.
Could everybody please stand? Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Rue. Let's go through the agenda, please.
Mr. President, before we begin, there's a request to continue item 1AM to January 27th.
Okay, without objection, that'll be the order.
Items 1 and 2 are items noticed for public hearing. The Department of Building and Safety reports that items 1D, J, M, P, AD through AH, AU, AY, BB, and BC may be received and filed inasmuch as the liens have been paid, were partially paid, and rescinded by the department, or are owner-occupied dwellings and exempt from lien processing, or the ownership has changed.
Okay, so without objection. Do we have cards?
Yes, cards on item 1.
Okay, then let's prepare to vote on item 2. If we could open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Let's continue.
And, Mr. President, that ordinance will be held over for 1 week for second reading, if not reconsidered, with 12 members.
Thank you. Continue.
Items 3 through 22 are items for which public hearings have been held. For item number 3, the committee report has not been circulated. Would you like to hold that item on the desk?
Yes, we'll hold 3. Any other specials? Mr. Koretz?
I'd like to have item 14 through 16 held and heard together.
Okay, we'll hold those items. Any other? Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item 18 special, please.
18 for Mr. O'Farrell. Let us prepare to vote on the remaining items. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Mr. Weezer.
Number 9, forthwith, please.
Without objection, that'll be the order. Mr. Bonin.
Mr. President, I forgot I wanted to continue 1AT. Could we reconsider that and then continue it for 2 weeks?
So
AT.
Yeah, that item has been voted on, so that can be considered without reconsideration.
Okay.
Be continued without reconsideration.
Great, thank you.
So then let us do that. And that date would be what? He said 2 weeks?
2 weeks is February 8th. February 9th.
Or 9th. Okay, thank you. All right, let's continue.
And, Mr. President, for items 4 and 5, the ordinances will be held over for 1 week, if not reconsidered, with 12 members.
I understand. So let's continue.
Items 23 through 32 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, those items are now before this body. Do we have cards?
Yes, cards on items 23, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 32.
Okay, let's hold those items and vote on the remaining items. And I'm told that we should hold item 31 as well. So let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, that brings us where?
Mr. President, that brings council to presentations or items called special.
Thank you. Mr. O'Farrell, would you like to proceed with your presentation?
I would love to.
All right.
Thank you.
So, Mr. O'Farrell, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you. Come. Monica. Yeah, come. Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. Joining me here today, we have a very famous chef that you've all seen on national television, and that is none other than Chef Ludo Lefebvre, with his lovely wife, Chrissy, and Chef Emilian Crespo, along with our own Public Works Commissioner, Monica Rodriguez. And we are honoring them today for bringing attention and elevating not only French cuisine in Los Angeles, but French culture in Los Angeles. How about a big round of applause?
Yes, let's give them a round of applause. Welcome.
Chef Ludo Lefebvre is one of the most influential chefs in Los Angeles, pioneering and revolutionizing the culinary industry, helping to make Los Angeles the best place in the world for international cuisine. After training in France for 12 years with the great masters, Ludo came to Los Angeles to quickly be awarded the prestigious Mobile Travel Guide 5-Star Award at 2 different restaurants, L'Orangerie in 1999 and 2000, and Bastide in 2006. From 2007 to 2012, he became known as the Pop-Up King and has been credited with igniting the phenomenon of the pop-up restaurant and establishing its viability as a business model. Chef Ludo now carries the flag for refined dining in Los Angeles with his restaurants. Trois Mecs, which has been named both in Esquire and GQ magazines, list of best new restaurants, and topped the list for both Los Angeles Magazine and LA Weekly. Petrois, Ludo's bar a la carte concept, was opened in July of 2014 and was honored as a 2015 James Beard finalist for Best New Restaurant. And finally, Trois Familia, a French-Mexican restaurant in Silver Lake, which opened fairly recently, and where my staff and I had the great pleasure of dining last week. It was the selection of our monthly lunch bunch. Chef Ludo has been named one of the world's 50 greatest chefs by Relais and Chateau, and was nominated by the James Beard Foundation for a Rising Star Chef Award. He is the author of 2 cookbooks, Ludo Bites, Recipes and Stories from the Pop-Up Restaurants of Ludo Lefebvre, and Crave, The Feast of the 5 Senses, and starred on the ABC hit cooking competition show, The Taste. And I think a lot of people in this chamber must have seen that. Most recently, Chef Ludo was knighted with the prestigious insignia of Chevalier dans l'Ordre National des Arts et des Lettres by the Minister of Culture of France in Los Angeles for his accomplishments and dedication to the proliferation of French culture. Viva la France.
Let's give him another round of applause. Let's let Mr. O'Farrell get a breath here.
I'm working down here. Chef Ludo Lefebvre is a chef, restaurateur, pop-up king, impresario, author, TV personality, and is now a knight. We have a knight in shining armor here in chamber. We are glad he calls Los Angeles home. We are very thankful that you call Los Angeles home. Therefore, colleagues, I would like to acknowledge and commend Chef Ludo Lefebvre with his resolution for his commitment and dedication to the proliferation of French culture and cuisine in our fair city. Oh, and it's right here.
Wow.
Not too bad, huh? Not too shabby.
Wow. Ouais, c'est notre signature. Thank you. Merci.
There you go. We're going to take some pictures.
Yeah, guys.
Come forward. Oh, come on. Get over here.
Yeah, we got. Don't be shy.
Oh, it shines, so we do that. Yeah.
All right.
Congratulations,
Yes.
Chef, and welcome to City Hall.
And Chef Ludo, please, a few words.
So, hello everybody. I'm going to go very, very fast because I know you have a busy day. I want to thank everybody from Los Angeles, the council members, of course, Monica Rodriguez, my lovely wife, Emilia Crespo. I would say it's a great honor to be in LA as a French man. I'm very successful here because definitely because Los Angeles. Los Angeles is very, I think, a city for freedom, and LA let me express myself all the time and support me. And I think that's for that LA now is finally recognized by all their different culture about food and the best city for food in America. I'm very proud to be American. I want to thank everybody and for all your support here, and hope to cook for all of you. Come to my restaurant, okay? If you want any reservation, ask Monica Rodriguez. She has my email, okay? So please come to see me, and again, thank you for all of you for your support. I'm very proud to be a Frenchman, but also very proud to be a U.S. citizen in this beautiful city and country. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. And we're so pleased to have you here.
And Chef, will you please host a Bastille Day celebration at Trois Familias in Silver Lake this summer? Oui, oui, he says. Oui, oui.
Anyway, one more round of applause, and again, congratulations. Welcome to City Hall.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, we have 12 members, and it's my understanding we have some ordinances. You want to take care of that? We can clean all that up now.
Yes, items 2, 4, and 5.
So we vote on reconsideration?
Yes, Mr. President.
Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Now we'll actually vote on the items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
And Mr. President, there's a request to send item 21 forthwith.
Without objection.
And for item 3, Mr. President, the committee report has been circulated. Do you wish to vote on that item now as well?
Yes. So now item 3 is before us. Madam Clerk, open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Mr. Huizar. Oh, Mr. Huizar, we need to reconsider that item, as I've been told, because we just passed.
Oh, yes, we need to reconsider it.
So let's on reconsideration, open the roll. 3. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Mr. Huizar, sorry about that.
Thank you, Mr. President. And colleagues, this item has been in the works. We want to thank everyone involved for bringing us to this day where Los Angeles is once again leading the way to help create a more healthy Los Angeles, a more healthy United States. I first want to thank Councilmember Ryu for hearing this item once again in the Health Committee this morning. I also want to thank Vice Chair Councilmember O'Farrell.
In fact, hold on, Mr. Huizar. Shh.
Thank you.
Can we have a little silence here? Okay, Mr. Huizar, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I also want to thank Councilmember O'Farrell for his efforts and for waving out this item out of his Parks Committee. And I also want to thank Councilmember Koretz for his support in seconding the motion. There was a lot of people involved in this item that actually organizations that brought this to our attention, in particular the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, Kevin O'Flaherty, and I want to thank Dr. Jonathan Fielding for being a strong supporter of this item that helped bring us some numbers and statistics that has shown that it is time for us to ban smokeless tobacco in all our public parks. The Los Angeles Dodgers organization has a storied history of bringing positive changes to baseball. that has had implications well outside the world of sports, and they are very supportive of this item. So I want to thank our Los Angeles Dodgers as well. Similar bans have been enacted in San Francisco and Boston, and Los Angeles will become the third city in this effort. And we need to get smokeless tobacco out of baseball and other sports, and Los Angeles has been the leader in many areas with respect to protecting the health of our residents when it comes to smoking, and this is another step in that direction. When you look at great baseball players like Tony Gwynn, one of the greatest players to ever play baseball, in the summer of 2014, the Hall of Famer died at age 54 after a long battle with salivary gland cancer, which he attributed to his longtime use of chewing tobacco. 2 months later, pitching great Curt Schilling, only 47, announced his treatment for oral cancer that he said was, without a doubt, unquestionably caused by 30 years of chewing tobacco. He spoke in support of the Boston effort and talked about how people hailed him as tough for playing in the World Series with a bloody ankle. But he said that the pain he was going through his cancer experience was infinitely more painful than anything he ever went through on the mound. And while some might say this is a personal choice and doesn't affect anybody but the user, when we see, or when our young people see adults using smokeless tobacco, when their heroes are using smokeless tobacco, they want to emulate that. And in fact, it is our young athletes that we have seen a spike for them using smokeless tobacco. But nothing can, they should be going in the other direction instead of using something that harms their health. There are definitely those in baseball, coaches, managers, ex-users who are trying to change the use of smokeless tobacco, and our efforts here in the city of Los Angeles will help support them. With 3 major cities and baseball venues on board for a smokeless tobacco ban, our vote will also send a strong message to Major League Baseball and the Players Union that the time is now to sit down and ban this archaic tradition whose time has long passed throughout the United States. We don't need to watch anybody else die because of its use, and we don't need to see any more young people take up this potentially deadly habit. With all that, colleagues, I ask for your aye vote. This item is up for its final vote on the ordinance, and I want to thank the city attorney for their hard and long work on this as well. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Koretz.
I want to thank Mr. Huizar for bringing this forward. We've made tremendous progress in terms of tobacco that is smoked, but we haven't done very well with smokeless tobacco, and it has sometimes been quite a disaster for many people, and particularly baseball players. Probably the one that had the worst time was an old-timer named Bill Tuttle. Even his baseball card has a picture of him with a big chunk of tobacco in his mouth. And there's a picture of him with the right side of his jaw removed as a result. He not only died from this, but he died a rather painful and disfigured death. We want to spare our kids that result, and I think this will go a long way. So I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Mr. O'Farrell.
Me too. Thank you, Mr. President. I also want to rise and I want to commend Councilmember Huizar for initiating this and leading the effort and partnering with Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids and their Knock It Out of the Park campaign. And I have been an advocate for decreasing tobacco use in our city. It's been a passion of mine for tobacco-free parks or any other type of device, including e-cigarettes that are now regulated as tobacco, that really do send youth on a pathway to tobacco use. And so I'm so honored to stand with you, Mr. Huizar, and I want to thank you also, Mr. Ryu, for getting this to committee and through committee and your leadership as well. And, of course, Mr. Koretz as well for your long track record on a healthier way of life and the diminishing use of tobacco and policy that supports that. It'll also be prohibited in most public park venues for properties such as the Autry National Center, the Greek Theater, the Los Angeles Zoo, several of our golf courses. And in these designated areas, smokeless tobacco will only be allowed in very, very limited areas. We are taking responsibility for our city's health, especially the health of our children. There is no calling more important. And I look very forward to this smokeless tobacco ordinance coming into play and joining other strictly regulated uses of tobacco and its accessory products. And I also urge a unanimous aye vote on this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Farrell. Okay, members, let's prepare to vote on this item. Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Mr. Koretz, are you ready for your items?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. These three resolutions are in support of reasonable, sensible gun safety proposals that in no way impinge upon the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding Americans. I hope and expect that all of you will agree with me. New York's Republican Congressmember Peter King last year introduced H.R. 1217, calling for more comprehensive background checks on gun buyers, including better information on mental health issues and criminal records, and expanding these checks to gun shows. This is similar to what President Obama called for on January 5th of this year, and that's item 14. Item 15 calls on Congress to lift its strictly political ban on the federal health agencies doing any research whatsoever on the health implications of gun violence. There's no scientific justification for this ban. It's just a head-in-the-sand paranoia that such research might prove that gun violence is detrimental to people's health and help us find options for addressing the issue. And item 16, Congressmember King and our own Dianne Feinstein introduced bills that would seek to keep guns and explosives out of the hands of people on the FBI terrorist watch list. This seems pretty common sense to me. Critics quibble about whether or not the watch list is accurate enough and offer it as a very long stretch, but a reason not to do this. At the same time, they criticize the president and others for not doing enough to keep guns out of the hands of possible terrorists. I believe we have to call their bluff, and I believe the fact that one of the bills is authored by a Republican, accompanied by one authored by a Democrat, does just that. At this point, I don't have great expectations that these bills will quickly pass in a Congress rife with hypocrisy about gun safety. Those in charge complain that the president is trying to usurp their power, and then they come up with every excuse in the book to do nothing. And here's one of their own taking a bold stand and saying, cut the crap and do the right thing. And anyone who's heard Congressmember King knows that I put it a lot more politely than he would. Congressmember King and Senator Feinstein deserve our support and thanks, and so I ask for your aye vote on these three items.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Koretz. Members, let's prepare to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, we're going to take some cards. We're going to go to item 23, and we have a card from Mr. Daniel Gus. Item 23. I know.
1 minute only, please. And thank you for finding my speaker card. They were all lost on Friday. So I will exercise the full muscle of free speech today, you criminal douchebags.
Just stay on the subject.
I am addressing the city council. And let's find out, what is the rush about cultural affairs, you criminal douchebags? What is the rush to appoint a commissioner to cultural affairs when her background, I have nothing against this good person, but what is the point of rushing the approval, 1 minute only, Mr. Wesson, if you don't have her background review completed? For Alana Yanez at Animal Services, you guys did the same thing and didn't know that she was employed by the HSUS. So what is the urgency to appoint somebody to cultural affairs, you criminal douchebags, until you complete the background check? 1 minute.
Thank you. Okay, let's prepare to vote. on this item. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, now we're going to go to item 27. Mr. Walsh, item 27. Mr. Walsh?
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. This is item 27 and concerns groundwater recharge purification facility. Well, you're a little late on that, aren't you? The water in the valley is poisonous. You know, if you live here in the central city where it was actually built well, the wells were built well, you don't have too much trouble. But the slam dash system that was set up, the Valley Groundwater Recharge System, the purification, the water you are drinking in the valley is filthy. Wastewater manager, environmental engineer, we have terrible, filthy water in this city. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay, thank you. Let's prepare members to vote on this item. Madam Clerk, open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, we'll now move to item 30. That's called special by Mr. Gus.
One minute only, please. As you know, Mr. Fuentes has decided not to run for a second or third.
Stay on the subject.
You have to give me the leeway to make my point, Mr. Wesson.
Stay on the subject, Daniel.
Well, then what have I said that's off subject?
Just stay on the subject, okay?
So Mr. Fuentes is not running for second or third terms, and I wonder why. And I am concerned about anything related to money and trust funds from somebody who some of us believe is being investigated directly.
You're not on the subject, Daniel.
I am concerned about criminal activity. I am concerned about criminal activity and corruption. And I'm making the point, as Dion just told you. I am speaking about the maker of the motion, and you are trying to get me off subject. I am concerned about the integrity of anything that's being proposed by a council member who we believe is being investigated by the FBI, you specifically, criminal douchebag.
Okay, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Let's move now to item 26. Mr. Walsh and Mr. Spindler on item 26.
John Walsh, HollywoodHighlands.org, J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dumbs. Channel 36 is supposed to be a public channel. In fact, it is under the dictatorship of Garcetti and Wesson. You can't see my face because they don't want you to see my face. And the scumbags who run Channel 35 and Channel 36, and I want to apologize to all self-respecting scumbags when I associate them with Channel 35 and Channel 36. This is the operations and programming. All it is an endless 24-hour jerk-off of these 15 members of the City Council. You don't hear anything about... Hey, have you heard anything on Channel 35, on Channel 36, about the FBI investigation of Nuri Martinez?
All right, thank you.
John, I still have 2 minutes.
Oh, no, you do.
On Channel 36. Channel 36 is the worst channel. It is 100% controlled by the government, and all it presents is government propaganda and lies. And the people who work for the channel, who are in charge of the cameras and everything, are the lowest pieces of scumbag in the world. I'm telling you right now, Channel 36 should be taken over by a nonpartisan organization, and to give them $109,000 to spend their money on trying to keep the facts about the FBI investigation of Nuri Martinez quiet is terrible.
Stay on
so
the
you
subject,
can take
Mr.
your
Walsh.
5 seconds left. You know what you can do with them.
Thank you. Mr. Spindler.
That's right. Channel 36, the fucking propaganda channel, the waste of money, no public access. It's a clear-cut violation of FCC regulations. There's no equal time on such a thing as this. It's simply there to continue to promote city council lies. Like, for example, that the city's fit for business, lies, and that they never mention that there's a thing called a grand jury investigation and it's not being reported. Isn't that news? No, not on a propaganda channel. A lot of people came from the former Soviet Union that I know, and the KGB ran their channel, and they did a better job than Channel 36, which is the lowest life form scumbag assholes you've ever seen on the planet Earth. They shouldn't get $1 of our money. They can't even have televideo over in Van Nuys anymore. They can't even show our fucking faces on TV on Channel 36 anymore. You can't see nothing except propaganda. Why do we have a propaganda channel propping up a city when we have so many internet sources? Why we have so many other ways cheaply and effectively to do the same thing? Because the city council lives in 1921. This place is running itself in a 100-year-old paradigm. Today, you don't need this channel. Nobody watches this channel except for one thing, because they want to zoom in and see the black hat that I'm wearing, which is the answer to the question that everybody has. Who is going to stop this fucking stealing and bullshit? 3 initials, FBI.
Thank you. Let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
We'll go now to item 32. Item 32, called by cards. If I could get Mr. Daniel Gus and Sean Murphy, are you here? Then you're after Mr. Gus, followed by Mr. Spindler.
1 minute only, douchebag. I'm concerned about the way this item is worded. It says, negotiations with the city on behalf of the Charles Companies of as presented in the. What the fuck does that mean? Who wrote this piece of shit? It says with the city on behalf of the Charles Companies of as presented in the reference letter. Well, the maker of the motion's an attorney. Where's the word between of and as? Correct the fucking thing before you vote on it, you douchebags. You fucking criminals. Put the word in there that you intend to put in there. The sentence can't go, the Charles Companies of as. What the fuck does that mean? Right? So, I'm exercising free speech because you lost my fucking cards on Friday and threatened me with the rest?
Subject. Thank you, Mr. Gus.
Fuck
Thank
you.
you.
Fuck you.
Okay, Mr. Murphy, please come forward.
Yes, I'm kind of against this item. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Spindler on item 32.
We have a waiver of a potential conflict of interest. What a fucking surprise! A conflict of interest at City Hall? You gotta be kidding me. Even Marchese's over there going, I can't believe there's a conflict of interest. What are we talking about here? What kind of a conflict of interest could there possibly be in this building that merely requires FBI supervision 24/7? I don't know. Well, let's see. We have the Brisbois, Bisgard, and Smith, LLP, requesting a waiver of a conflict of interest. There aren't enough lawyers in L.A.? No, we have to have the same lawyer doing two different things at once, because when you campaign Doan, you got to get everything. All the Benjamins, all the time. They'll pass it. This is bullshit. Vote no.
All right, let's prepare to vote. Let's vote. Mr. Krikorian. Yes, sir.
President, sorry, I should have risen earlier, but I would ask that this item be continued for 1 week, please.
Okay. So then, without objection, this item will be continued, Mr. Krikorian, until February 2nd. And we'll close the hearing on this as well. Let's move on to our next item. Let's do item 1. Dennis Klein. Then we have a Gallegos. And somebody representing Red Star Auto Body. Please come forward.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead.
We're here in regards
Speak into the microphone.
of 15158 West Lakeside Street, L.A.
Yeah, we only received this. We knew nothing about this problem. You know, and my parents died, or my mother died, my brother died, before we even found out about this stuff. We actually cleaned the property up, you know, and I don't understand why we hadn't got information on this earlier than what we have now. So I don't know.
We don't know what we're supposed to say.
Okay, why don't you just stay for a few moments? You can move over and have a seat. I've got some people discussing your situation now. And so if we could have, do we have, in fact, sir, if you guys could go to the left side over here, you see there's a young lady that would chat with you. Gallegos, please come forward. And then again, Red Star Auto Body and Fernando Cruz, if you guys could begin to line up. Just come and identify yourself, please.
Hi, this is Mr. Gallegos. He's just asking for a continuance for 2 weeks.
And what's the address?
What's the address?
750.
No. 10406 South Juniper Street.
That would be Mr. Busca. You know
We'll give
that
them 2 weeks, sir.
Okay, so you're requesting some additional time. You'll be given 2 weeks.
Thank you.
To February 9th. Okay, so that gives you 2 weeks to do the things that you need to do, find out the information that you need to find out. If I could have the next, please come and identify yourself and the address, please.
My name is Francisco Ortega. I'm the
Into
owner.
the.
Yeah, my name is Francisco Ortega. I'm the owner of the Red Star Auto Body Shop on 6010 South San Pedro Street, not a 6000 San Pedro Street. So they have been confused with the address since long time.
What area is that? Mr. Price, I believe that's in your. So anyway, we're going to continue your item for 2 weeks. That'll be February 9th. So your item's continued for 2 weeks.
Okay.
If I could have the next. And I'm also looking for Aaron, Fernando Cruz, Aaron Gundis, and someone that says Sounds of Success. If you please come forward. Sir, do we need translation?
Yes.
Where's our translator? There she is.
Yeah.
¿Qué número es? ¿Cuál?
Uh,
¿Cuál es la orden?
yo pagué todo el bill,
I already pay everything,
okay, pero me mandaron que esta multa, me mandaron la multa.
but they sent me this fine,
Y quiero saber por qué me están mandando.
and I want to know why are they sending it?
Sí, por qué me están mandando de nuevo el
And I
bill.
want to know why are they sending me this bill again? I already paid for everything.
Porque acá tengo todos los recibos.
I have all the receipts for you if you need them.
Mr. Bloomingfield, I believe this is in your area.
El señor parece que lo va a ayudar.
1C.
No sé. Ok, señor, si fuera tan amable. Espera un momentito.
Okay, then we'll continue your item as well to February 9th, 2 weeks.
9, en 2 semanas más. ¿Ok?
Para
Si
ver.
tiene más preguntas, puede irse al lado. ¿Ok?
¿Voy a regresar?
Do you want me to come back?
We're continuing his items for 2 weeks, and if he were to go to my left, he can speak with the young lady with the black jacket. So if I could have the next speaker come and identify themselves.
Yes, my name is Karen Goodis. Kids regard to 7347 Reseda Boulevard, and I will need 2 weeks to settle it.
Okay, so without objection, we'll give you the 2 weeks that you requested. So this item will return to this body on February 9th. Okay, so if I could add the next.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then we're looking for, like I said, Sounds of Success, Lee Lubin, John Walsh, Maria Contreras. Yes, sir, identify yourself.
Yes, my name is Fidel Smith. I'm the owner and operator of Sound of Success.
Gotcha.
I guess I was called here for some fees that were due for inspections. And I have some records of checks, return checks, and fees that I had paid. So I'm not quite understanding the whole reason for being.
Okay, Mr. Dawson, maybe if you'd have a staff member speak with this gentleman, we could clarify that. So, sir, I'm going to ask you to go. You see the young man with the paper in his hand? He's to my left. If you would chat with him.
Okay.
Okay, who's our next? Please come forward.
Yes, thank you, esteemed council members. My name is Lee Lubin. I'm an attorney. I'm here on behalf of my client, Ganame Masachi. It's regarding 5353 North Shirley Avenue. The matter is for hearing as to whether or not to place a lien on Ms. Masachi's property, having to do with non-payment of a fine related to notice of violation. The violation was a retaining wall on the property that was built without permits and was in existence when Ms. Masachi bought the property. The repair is in the $70,000 range. She's already spent about $20,000. The city is aware of it. She's pled no contest to a misdemeanor, and the conditions are that she fix the condition. She has been doing so. She's hired contractors, soil engineers, and she has obtained approval for the permit for the retaining wall. To pay for the remaining balance, she's going to need to borrow money from her property. At this point, liening the property only makes it more difficult for her to solve the problem, and the issue is public safety. She's trying to solve the problem. This really only works against the solution. We're asking that this council consider relieving her of the fine and the lien, or at the very least waiving the penalties and allowing her to pay the basic fee. Appreciate your consideration.
Okay, so if I could have the next speaker, and then we'll let you know. Yes, next, please identify yourself.
My name is Maria Lourdes Contreras. Maria Lourdes Contreras.
My name is Maria Lourdes Contreras.
Y yo quiero saber qué es esto.
I want to know what is this. I just got it. Mr. President, her number is 150160. AI.
Okay, now
I received this. This was in my window.
I'm trying to get the district. It's not on the card. Can I get the address to the property in question again?
La dirección es 737 West 139th Street, and that's AI.
Mr. Buscaino, you want to weigh in on this one? I believe it's in your area.
Yes, we'll give her 2 weeks, Mr. President.
So if you'd explain to her that her item will be continued to February 9th. And if we could have the next speaker. Okay, please come forward.
I don't know why it's still running. John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential. When you do a good job, I'm the first to congratulate you. Of all the years I've been coming down here, when you give somebody 2 weeks, they never come back and complain. Why don't they come back 2 weeks later and complain? Because whatever happened in the 2 weeks, they're happy with it. The fine, the lien, whatever, has been either forgiven or slashed. So when you do a good job, I am the first to congratulate you. I'm not just full of hatred. I'm just not this old man. You're a bunch of crooks. That's not John Walsh. Take a look at my website, HollywoodHighlands.org, or tweeting at J. Walsh Confidential. And we have saved hundreds, if not millions of dollars in fines by encouraging people, when you get a lien, come down here, Hollywood. And if you come down here and protest it the way these people did, these people will not be here. I can guarantee that 2 weeks from now, they will not be here complaining about the lien, because the lien will have been forgiven. HollywoodHighlands.org, J. Walsh Confidential.
Okay, where's Mr. Lubin? Mr. Lubin. Anyway, Mr. Lubin's item 1B and D is going to be continued for 2 weeks. Okay, so if I could have the next speaker, sir, please come forward and identify yourself.
Hi, my name is Steve Kitagawa on behalf of World Bank.
Could you give me that name again?
Steve Kitagawa, item AL 7422 North Jordan Avenue.
Gotcha.
I'd request a 4-week continuance, and I also would like to speak to somebody. We're concerned about our beneficial interest in the loan, and concerned that there is a legal structure and illegal additions to the house, and actually would like to help participate in remediation.
Okay, there's a request for a continuation of 30 days. So we're going to, and then we'll have you speak with representatives of Council District 3. It's my understanding that they've agreed to continue this till February 26th.
Thank you.
Okay? So if we could have... there's a Lancashire Boulevard, Masucci, last name Masucci. Help me, I'm so sorry.
It's Hengame Masachi.
Okay.
Okay, on December 11, I received a letter. I called to see what's going on. They just told me to show up here today. It's about a tenant that I had that he didn't pay for the compliance, for the inspection of the property. When he left, I myself paid it, and I brought the check, the copy of the check in here. So I'm asking for 2 weeks continuance to go to the address that they gave it to me to see why you guys putting lien on my property, which I paid it, and I have the copy of the check in here.
Okay, that's in Council District 2. You want the address was 6250 Lankershim Boulevard, and she's asking for some time to sort it out.
We can continue it for 2 weeks while
Okay, so we will.
Ma'am.
Miss,
Ma'am.
if you could look at.
Ma'am, over here. Over here.
Oh.
If you come on over here, we'll have a chat with you, okay?
And we'll continue that item for 2
Thank you.
weeks. That's February 9th. Mr. Fuentes.
Can we continue item 1Y for 30 days, please?
1Y will be continued to February 26th at the request of Mr. Fuentes. Do we have a Raymond? 5801 Pico. Raymond, if you could come pronounce the last name. Mr. Koretz, 1 second. Yes, Mr. Koretz.
I'd just like to ask, Mr. Spindler has been repeatedly bleating like a goat to disrupt this meeting, and if we could ask him to halt that particular activity or remove him if he doesn't.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that to the attention of the chair. Yes, sir. Identify yourself.
Payman Nehurai for 5801 Pico. I'd like to request a continuance.
How much time do you need, Raymond?
2 weeks.
Why don't I give you 3? February 16th,
Okay.
2016.
Okay.
And that item is 1A, 1AB?
I believe it's whatever. Yes.
Yes. All right. So that's continued. Mr. Quan Lee. Quan Lee. I believe this is item 1H.
Yes. Good morning. I'm here on behalf of my brother-in-law who's out of the country, and I misread the letter that was sent to actually come and pay the lien today, and I brought the check today. I'm willing to pay the whatever lien assessment for.
Okay, so now you're prepared, if I heard you right, prepared to make a payment?
Yes.
So in order for us to make sure that that happens, we will continue your item for 1 week. If I could get Charles, if he wants to make a payment, Mr. Lee,
yes.
We're going to continue this for 1 week. If you could meet with him on the side,
okay, thank you.
and work out, Charles, work out the payment, he's prepared to make the payment. All right, so that brings us, I think I have a card on Mr. Spindler.
Yes. Show up when you get these notices. You can save money. They will listen. Because when you come here on these liens, these are illegal liens. It's only legal if you let them roll over your rights. So exercise your right. Show up here. It's worth it. We had one Asian gentleman that wanted to pay. Don't pay these scumbags. Demand a refund. Demand a refund of your costs. And especially in CD3, that scumbag has got almost 10 of them on this agenda. Reseda is being attacked by liens, being attacked by developers. Reseda is being attacked by Bob Blumen scum, and it has to stop now. There's too many liens in the CD3. Too fucking many liens in CD3. Sure, he turns his head because he knows what he's doing. He's persecuting people because they're Latino and they live in the valley ruled over by a scumbag Jew. Vote no.
Now you're off subject. Okay, let's prepare to...
Excuse me, Mr. President. Before we vote, there are other additional liens that need to be continued. Items 1F and AS continue to February 9th. 1AX continue to February 26th. and 1AA and AJ to February 9th.
Okay, let's continue those items and let us vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, we're going to now move to item 31. Mr. Spindler on item 31, followed by Yvonne Autry, item 31.
And Mr. President, for item
Yes.
31, a substitute motion, 31A, has been circulated.
Yes, now we turn to Glamour Gowns, the 2016 event. And of course, we need to waive the fee for the Glamour Gowns for the Glamour Queen, Nuri Martinez, $3,631 so Nuri can dress in a gown and attend the ball. Yes, the crystal ball needs to be attended by everybody.
No, let's stay on the subject.
And CD9. So what we're going to do is that like we're going to have our own Cinderella for the crystal ball for the Glamour Gowns and CD9. Women will come. They will see if they fit in the glass slippers and their glamour
No, you're
gown.
not on subject,
and
Mr.
they'll be able to be in the CD9 community services to reimburse the convention center. Us, Curran Price is bringing fashion to CD9. Don't worry about all the drug sales and crime. Go for the glamour gowns. Sponsored by Nuri Martinez. Thank you.
No, we're now looking for Miss Autry.
Well, I just want to make sure that I understand that the city is allocating money for gowns. You know, whenever my associates on Skid Row ask for money, the city and the county somehow have no money for sanitation. OG man and his crew have to clean up the streets themselves, and you have money to buy debutantes' gowns. That is like quite offensive to me. And I would think that you could use this money in the reinvestment in our community. The regentrification process is underway. You know, I know it's engineered. Of course, you're engineering the homelessness. It is an industry. The service providers do not provide those services. Okay, you're trying to control and manipulate. It's social engineering, mass manipulation, population control, mind control. Why don't you reinvest this money in the community? Help women that have been abandoned, some children that are in the streets, some of the more of the veterans, available housing. Stop trying to manipulate women's minds and dress up like little dolls and put us in little lunch boxes so you people can service us. Put us in the trash when you want to have your ready reservoirs of sex slaves for your government subsidized and covert, illegal, and covered up human sex trafficking. Why don't you reinvest your money in the community in a real way instead of this fake, like really BS? I'm trying to stop cursing, so I didn't say bullshit. But that's what it is. So again, it's just really offensive to me. You have money to buy these new Charger and Mustang vehicles for the police officers. This is a police state. Why don't you even reinvest in the educational system instead of buying these gowns for these young people? I'm sure if they're that well established that they can solicit some other subsidy for this purpose. It's a waste of money. I walk outside in one of the richest cities and I see people in the street begging, and you want to buy debutantes' gowns or hire police, again, to label as terrorists women like myself, who are still petite little dolls. So again, it's offensive. It's a waste of money.
Okay, let's prepare to vote. Let us open the roll.
Excuse me, Mr. President. First, council
Yes.
should vote on whether to substitute.
Okay, let's vote on the substitution. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, now we will actually vote on the item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Mr. Englander, items 28 and 29. Okay, we have some cards. Let me ask for a Taurus kick, and Mr. Murphy, please come forward.
Good morning, council members. My name is Taras Kick.
I'm an attorney, and I want to thank council members Englander and Busquino for sponsoring and presenting this measure. My law firm filed the first class action related to the Aliso Canyon gas leak, and as such, we've fielded hundreds of calls from members of the community, and there have been a very significant portion of calls coming from members of the adjacent communities outside of Porter Range. So I think the motion presented today is well thought out. The people in these adjacent communities are affected by the same gases as the motion itself says. The gas doesn't recognize a zip code or a boundary. It travels with the winds and with the environment. And to whatever extent, anecdotally, the council members would like to know this, I can tell you that almost invariably, the concerns of the folks who have been calling haven't been about money or asking how they can make money or get money from the lawsuits. It's been about their health. It's been about protecting their loved ones and themselves. So thank you for the motion.
Okay, Mr. Murphy, followed by Mr. Gus.
I say to the gas people, the gas company people, shut it down. It's creating health reasons. Shame on them.
So, the maker of the motion, my friend Mitch Englander. It's interesting that Mitch Englander stands to personally benefit from item number 28. He lives in Granada Hills. The issue isn't in Granada Hills, but he personally stands to profit on the motion. Mr. Englander has a history of cheating the city. Let me explain. For years, Mr. Englander didn't pay his dog license, and he got away with services. Dion will tell you.
He is not talking about this item.
I am showing a council member who has taken financial advantage of the city.
Just stay on the item.
He stands to benefit from here, and Mr. Englander, whose chair is empty, has a history of cheating the city. I have the document here.
Stay on the item, though, Mr. Gus.
That's better reserved for general
I
public
am
comment.
concerned about a council member who proposes motions where he's going to financially benefit you criminal douchebags. Let me move on to item 29, because it's also Mr. Englander and the opportunist Mr. Wesson. How come when there's a financial, an earth, a green issue in a white community, you guys jump all over it. But 2 days ago, the LA Times had an article about oil leaks in South LA. Where's your emergency action for the blacks in the city? That's why Mr. Wesson jumped on this thing, because he is a race baiter who will take care of issues where media is involved. That's what's happening. White community, these guys take quick action. Latino community, you bet they're on it. But the oil disaster the LA Times wrote about in a black community, fuck you, this council says to the blacks of LA.
Thank you. Let's prepare to vote on this item. I'm sorry, Mr. Englander.
So I'm sorry.
That ends general public comment on this item.
As it clearly was, General. With that, colleagues, it's been 96 days. 96 days since this gas leak has started. 3,698 families, as of this morning, have relocated out of their homes. They've done so during the holidays. They are living in fear. They have no idea what the long-term health impacts are going to be. Their largest investment, their home, is at risk. That's their nest egg, their retirement, putting their kids through college. Businesses are having to close their doors or lay off employees. And this is coming during the busiest time of the year, during the holidays, that they should have been flourishing. This gas leak does not know boundaries. This gas leak does not know the edge of Porter Ranch. We've had hundreds, if not thousands, of calls and complaints of people coming up with the same symptoms: dizziness, nosebleeds, fatigue, muscle spasms, chronic problems, hospitalization, and and people getting very, very sick. We've relocated 2,000 kids and staff and closed 2 schools in the last 96 days. But we've got complaints and issues outside of Porter Ranch, and we've extended that boundary now. We have a map that's on my website. It's a 5-mile radius that goes and includes not just Porter Ranch, but Northridge, Granada Hills, Chatsworth. But the 5-mile radius isn't enough. That 5-mile radius is developed by, in coordination with, the AQMD on verified complaints, except for the fact that if you look at the AQMD data, it goes also beyond the 5-mile radius. So we're asking for the gas company not only to consider the 2,445 families that are still in the queue and waiting to be relocated until this gas leak is not only fixed, but the entire facility is made safe and guaranteed safe for the San Fernando Valley. We're asking for them to make sure all reasonable accommodations are looked at and evaluated equally and fairly. In fact, recently we entered into a stipulated agreement with SoCal Gas because we had to take them to court. And the order said that they shall relocate beyond just Porter Ranch, but to include anybody who is reasonably affected by this. Just last week, since they announced it looks like there may be an end in sight for this particular well, and to cap it, therefore they were going to stop relocation efforts, we again, with City Attorney Mike Fear, stepped in, called them to remind them that they have this stipulated order. They can't stop. They have to continue relocating and working with people. And their response was, oh yeah, okay, we'll do that. And they've done that. So we're asking for them to consider that. The other thing is, and you have it before you, is a legislative package we're asking for in Sacramento. And there have been numerous different pieces of legislation introduced on an emergency basis to actually regulate and update the teeth in the folks that are overseeing the regulations and the site and these types of facilities in California. This has, for the most part, been an unchecked industry, a self-regulated industry with voluntary assessments and of all the wells. That information is not made public in real time. There's absolutely no reason that in today's day, in today's technology world, where I have more technology in my cell phone than these newest wells have on site, that we can't make sure that they have real-time monitoring on every single well, shared with the public and made transparent with real-time air testing and monitoring as well. So I ask that you support the legislative package. We want to make sure also that they have the emergency equipment on site. There's no reason that they're operating the largest facility west of the Mississippi and they didn't have a contingency plan. That, to me, was gross negligence. The fact that they didn't have the equipment necessary in case and in the event something like this happened. They had to bring the equipment in from the Gulf states, which took weeks to set up. They had to go out and hire outside experts that weren't here locally on site, which took months to get everybody up to speed and brought in. And so we're asking that they have that permanently at these kinds of locations. So I ask for your aye vote on both 28 and 29. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Bonin.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. Englander, for the work that you've been doing on this. I know it is an intensely local issue for you and your constituents in your district. It's also a sort of a global one as well. It's an issue locally for me. I have a gas storage facility in Playa del Rey, just near Los Angeles International Airport, just underneath the bluffs and near a large number of homes. It's a facility I've had concerns about over the years. Back shortly before I took office, at the end of Mr. Rosenthal's administration, there was a 100-foot plume of fire that gushed up and caused some damage to nearby homes. And there have been some other incidents that have raised concerns. So I want to thank you and Mr. Fewer for the work that you've been doing on this. I've been particularly happy to see the governor's executive order provides, which you helped to initiate, provides some protection for all of the facilities, including the ones in my district, and really think that this is going to be, the work that you're doing is very important because it will help all of these facilities, not just the one that has had such a horrible situation. Just wanted to clarify that the legislative action today would pertain to all of their facilities and would also cover the thing in Playa del Rey. I want to thank you very much for that, and I look forward to continuing to work to support you on this.
Okay, thank you. Let's prepare to vote on this item. these items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Englander?
That both those items go forthwith, please.
Okay, so ordered. Mr. O'Farrell?
Thank you,
Yes,
Mr. President. Item 18, the item before us, is a resolution that establishes the city's support for the No Place Like Home initiative that would provide a stream of capital funds necessary to build permanent supportive housing for mentally ill homeless individuals up and down the state. It is a companion and is derived from the Mental Health Services Act of 2004, which at the time that most voters supported that was to result in tens of thousands of brick and mortar permanent supportive housing for our mentally ill homeless population. And since that time, we have certainly reaped benefits from the passage of the Mental Health Services Act of 2004, but it has never quite reached the potential that we all expected it to. So this state initiative, it should be noted that Los Angeles played a huge role in getting this off the ground. I want to thank you, Council President Wesson, for your partnership in conjunction with former President of the State Senate Pro Tem Darrell Steinberg and our current President Pro Tem Kevin De Leon to help make this idea come to fruition. I also want to thank our state partners for their commitment to funding permanent supportive housing. Housing, of course, is something that we all talk about every single day across our district, the need for permanent supportive housing for our homeless. And it's a critical aspect in solving this crisis. I look forward to working with partners at every level. And let's not forget that a very significant percentage of the homeless population in the county of Los Angeles, and by extension, the city of Los Angeles, is afflicted with mental illness. If we can count on these funds to contribute to our $100 million goal, then we will have taken a big bite out of that apple. And colleagues, we need to really put our heads together and collaborate in identifying funding sources from wherever we possibly can so that we can get to that goal of having the kind of resources we need to actually reduce our homeless population and get people in need into permanent supportive housing. And support for this resolution will help result in just that. So again, Council President Wesson, thank you for your partnership, and I look forward to making this happen and exploring other resources to help solve our homeless crises. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, Mr. O'Farrell. Great work, and it's been an honor and a pleasure to work with you on this issue. Okay, let's prepare to vote. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
All right. That brings us to, I believe, general public comment, Madam Clerk, or is there anything on the agenda that I'm...
No, general public comment is next, Mr. President.
Okay, so let me call Mr. Gus, Mr. Murphy, and Miss Autry, please come forward.
I only fuck with the First Amendment when you fuck with my speaker cards. Stop doing it, and I'll settle down here. Englander lost my and only my speaker cards on Friday. That's why I say fuck you, Herb. You fix that, I'll bring my language back to normal. Where's the apology? You guys tried to use the LAPD against me? I will paint this room with colorful language for the rest of your days in this chamber. Waiting for an apology from Englander. And how I get even? I called the FBI because I said Mr. Englander's clearly agitated about my tweets just prior to the meeting about Felipe Fuentes and Nuri Martinez, bringing me to this flunky that called me from Herb Wesson's office, who said, the council member wants to know if you and him are still friends. After all, it's a privilege to meet with Herb Wesson? Fuck no. It's your privilege to meet with people like us. When are you going to realize that? Thank you.
Thank you. So if I could have Mr. Murphy, Miss Autry, and Mr. Walsh.
The gentleman put a card on 29 in the black suit. He wanted to speak on it, but You passed it. You must have gotten in the bottom somewhere.
No, once we begin the conversation on an item, we don't take cards. So go ahead, Mr. Murphy. It's your time. Sean, it's your time. No, you're disrupting now. Mr. Murphy, it's your time.
Yeah, okay.
No, hold his time. You're disrupting the meeting. Let Mr. Murphy speak. Please, you're disrupting the meeting. It's the last time. Okay. Now, okay, Mr. Sargents, help him find his way out if he doesn't want to cooperate. Mr. Murphy, it's your time.
Fix the streets, fix the sidewalks, and somebody did mention Channel 36. It's the worst television station, so is K-Earth.
Mr. Walsh, followed by Miss Autry.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Hey, what happened to the Olympics? You had a billion-dollar village you were going to build at Southern Pacific Rail Yards. Yesterday, you shit-canned it. It doesn't exist. You think you're going to close down UCLA for 6 months and have that as the Olympic Village. The Olympics are not coming here. They're going to Paris. Because you claimed that LA was terrorist-proof. Then there was San Bernardino. It's not terrorist-proof anymore. I'm telling you right now, the FBI is investigating Ms. Martinez, investigating several of you. This was in the LA Times. We're talking about that there is a grand jury investigation. You're out of control. We are in control. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Thank you, Miss Autry, Mr. Spindler, Mr. Hunt. Please come forward.
Well, first, I object to the limiting time that we have. It should be extended to 2 or 3 minutes. And I object to monies being used in engineered government cover-ups to break down people like myself, labeling us terrorists simply because we continue to expose any criminal activity that we do witness. The breakdown process, of course, financed, we believe, by the federal government, much like the Tuskegee experiments were perpetrated against those black males, and they were labeled unclean. We are not unclean. We are not to be put in the trash. I'm not a seductress. I'm not to be used for energy. I'm not to be called or maligned or character assassinated as such. And I object to the money that is being used in this mind control, mass manipulation, population control, exercise, and experimentation and torture of these people that you engineer to keep on this street for that purpose. Manufacturing or engineering people for wheelchairs, walkers, bedridden, it generates more money.
Thank you. Thank you. So if I could have Mr. Spindler, followed by Mr. Hunt, followed by Mr. Jenkins.
Right. Everybody buy your Nuri hat.
Here's the Nuri hat. FBI equals Nuri grand jury. You got your very own grand jury. You're a celebrity. You're a real gangster. Yes, Nuri flew right to the top of the heap. That's why I told him to put her on the LAUSD board. They didn't listen to me. She could have been the president. You didn't listen to me. So now you fools don't have Nuri to be your superintendent to get the cash. You got a grand jury for Nuri. Now what happens?
You get a fucking $10 bill in your hand and you say, give it back to me. It's a campaign donation. Where's it on the ethics panel? I checked the ethics website. They don't list any donations below $50. Lori Levinson, the chairwoman of the City Ethics Commission, is engaged in a conspiracy to violate campaign laws and should be disbarred.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Hunt, followed by Mr. Jenkins.
The Red Chief Hunt. Strike him up again. One more arrest with the Red Chief Hunt downstairs. L.A. gives a man $215,000 for KKK outfit. Try about $430,000 for the red one. You guys arrested me January 15th. Told me I couldn't wear my scarf. Everybody know Cohen versus California. Hunt versus the city of Los Angeles again. And Brandenburg versus Ohio. gives me the right to wear my scarf in a public area. Sorry, again, we will be taking you guys to federal court. Public comment should go back to 2 minutes. You should cherish your people that come down here. You would be a fool not to give them 2 minutes because we, the people, makes the Constitution and makes the city council. We vote for you guys. You guys don't vote for us.
Okay, Mr. Jenkins.
Prentice Jenkins, City Life newsletter, activist since 1991. I want you people to stop calling this a leak. I took a leak this morning. I know what it looks like. That, my friend, is a geyser. It's not a leak. The last time they gassed that many innocent white folks was in Nazi Germany. Now we're doing it in the United States. Look at that. This is in Porter Ranch, wealthy white community. This is the City Life newsletter. I'll write this. This is called The Disappearance of Jackie Lacey. It's the disappearance of District Attorney Jackie Lacey. She won't do anything about the homosexual cops that felt up Ezell Ford, and then when he fought back, they killed him. They murdered him. You can laugh if you want to, but guess what? That actually happened to Ezell Ford. You people have no idea what happened to Ezell Ford. This is what happened to Ezell Ford. Wow, 4 seconds? This is my newsletter. Jackie Lacey has to arrest those cops.
Thank you. That ends general public comment. Madam Clerk, that brings us where?
Council has motions for post and referral.
Okay, they are posted and referred.
That clears the desk.
Okay, announcements, members, announcements. I don't see any. If all in the chambers would please rise for adjourning motions. Adjourning motions, I'm going to look to my left, Mr. Harris Dawson's side. I don't see any adjourning motions. I now look to my right side, Mr. Rue, Mr. Weezar's side. I don't see any adjourning motions. Members, this meeting is adjourned.